I made this TikTok and it is going viral. So we need to make a tutorial on this ASAP. Hi, I'm Janelle, but you can just call me Jelly. I'm a 2024 bride getting married in August. And I'm going to be having my Cricut machine address all of my wedding invitations. I bought these envelopes from Amazon. They're linked in my Amazon storefront. They're like the perfect champagne color I was going for, and they are nice, have like a nice gold trim on the back, and also have a self-seal adhesive sticker to close them. And they're like nice and thick and good quality. So when somebody gets this in the mail, they're gonna be like, oh yeah, this is a wedding invitation. I got these gel roll gel pens also linked in my Amazon storefront. I've done a lot of research of the Cricut machine addressing your wedding invitations, and I came across this gel pen. It was the most popular one, and it fits right into the machine with just like a little gentle little force. You can buy a fresh new pack of 6 on Amazon. So if you're planning on making this DIY, I'd be so grateful if you could please go buy these products in my Amazon storefront with my affiliate link linked in the description, because weddings are expensive. And of course you'll need your Cricut machine. I have the Cricut Maker, but this will work with any of the Cricut machines that have the writing function. So let's go to Cricut Design Space and I will show you the fonts that I picked out and how I pair them together to get them ready to be written on the envelopes. These are the font pairings that I picked out for my wedding invitation addresses. This first one here is called Sinatha. I downloaded it from the Creative Fabrica website. It's a script font, so it's kind of hard to read, so I'm using that as the guest names. And then for the addresses, this font is called Morena, which I also downloaded from the Creative Fabrica website. I bought a subscription to that back in Black Friday, so girl math, it's free, but you can purchase this if you'd like. So to write your name and address, you're going to grab a text box. This is set to Sinatha, and we want to make sure it's in the pen function. And then we're going to make up a guest name. And then we're going to add another text box. We're going to use the font Morena. And then we're going to make up a fake address for the video purpose. So we have the street number, the street, the city, the state, and the zip code. So once we have that, I'm going to resize these so they look pretty good together. And then I'm just going to line these up so that the space of the guest name font and this font are kind of spaced out nicely. And then we're going to select all of this here, go up to Align, and center horizontally so it makes it even going this way. And I forgot to change this to the pen. Now this looks all bubble letters right now, but when you write it out with the pen function, it's gonna write along all of the outside of the lines, so it's technically kind of making bubble letters, but the pen is thick enough so it won't give you this end result. So I'm gonna select all of this and make sure I go down to attach so the Cricut knows that this is all one thing that it's gonna write out together. And then I am manually typing in all of the addresses for my wedding guests right into Cricut Design Space. I'm not importing them from anywhere. So I would just duplicate it, detach it, and then double click here to change the name. Double click here to change the address. And then I just want to make sure that this lines up so that, like, for example, this Y here wouldn't overlap with this because I don't want it to write over itself. And then I'm going to select all of this here and attach it back together. So now this is another guest's address here. Now I'm going to add a shape, pick just a basic square and unlock it and type in the dimensions of my envelope, which are 7.25 by 5.25. And then we can duplicate another one for another address. I'm going to send both of these to the back so it's easier to see our addresses. And then I'm just going to take these and size them down to where I think it looks good on the envelope. And then for this one, I'm going to select all of it, align it, and just make sure it's centered horizontally. You can make sure it's centered vertically, whatever you want to do. I think it looks better when it's down further in the envelope. Align and center horizontally. Okay, and then we're going to want to make sure that we attach our envelope to our writing. So I'm just going to drag and select all of this, go down to attach, and then do the same for this one as well, attach. So then when we go to make it, we're going to get the lay of the land for our envelopes. And that way, when we put the actual envelope on the mat, we have like a little guide as to where to put it. So I'm going to test this out on a 12 by 12 mat. So for now, I'm just going to move this to a new mat. So when you go to make it, you're telling Design Space to write on it with the pen and then basic cut a shape, the rectangle we made with the size of our envelope. But we don't want a basic cut. We want it to just do the writing function. But the reason why we added the basic cut shape is so that we could line it up on our mat so that we know when we're preparing our mats, we know where to put the envelope on. So I'm going to make sure this corner is on the 1-in-1 square when I actually put the actual envelope on the mat and feed it into my machine. I have this piece of cardstock. I'm just testing this out as of right now. I have it lined up at the top corner as the 1-in-1 block because that's how we have it in Design Space. I have my machine turned on and I'm just going to select this light cardstock setting for now. And it is saying that they want us to load in the pen in clamp A and the fine point blade in clamp B. However, like I said before, we don't want it to actually cut. That's just for a guide, our little square. So I'm actually going to take the cut blade out. These are the gel pens that I got. See, it dragged this on there. Maybe I have this in too far. I don't want it to do that. I think the tutorials that I've seen is it wanted it to go on the G of this gel pen. So of course my camera died for the part where it was gonna ghost cut around without the blade in it. So that's the first method I saw with the taking the actual cut blade out and then it just kind of like ghost cuts that basic cut square that we put into Design Space. The only problem I ran into that with this method is it dragged the pen on here. So I'm going to try and figure out this other like template method. I also wanted to put the return address on the back here. But that might be another day in another tutorial. We are back in Design Space and I'm going to try another template method. So I'm going to take this and duplicate it just to work on it and detach everything. So when I did my envelopes with the first method, I noticed that the address was actually kind of too large. And I just measured my envelope more of like a 4.5-inch block. So I'm just gonna change this to 4.5. I'm gonna change this color of the envelope real quick just to kind of see it better. I'm gonna take this and align it with the center. And I think it looks pretty good there. We need some area for a stamp. So what I'm gonna do now is take this address and kind of size it down so that the width is about at that 4.5-inch mark. We'll move this to the front. Okay, I think that looks a little bit better. I'm gonna take this rectangle that I made and have it unlocked and make it a little bit taller towards more of the size of my full address. And then maybe actually make this a little bit longer. The name of my city is actually a really long word, so it's probably gonna need more across than this, but this is just gonna be a guide. I'm gonna press the shift key on my keyboard and just align these with the center again. So just for now, I'm gonna hide this. I'm gonna select these here, and the easiest way for me in Design Space is to do this slice. And then I'll go over here and get rid of this. And click on this, get rid of this. And then we are left with this template for our address. Let me unhide that. So now our address fits in this template that I made. Now I'm gonna go over to Make It on the mat. And we're gonna be left with this. I'm gonna take our template, click these 3 dots, move object and move it to the same mat as my address that's gonna be written in the pen function. And then again, I'm going to take my template and line it up in that 1-in-1 block like we did for the first method. And then I'm going to take my address down and fit it in the middle of this envelope. The only thing I don't like about this method is that it's not going to center this. But now that I'm editing this video, I'm thinking that I could go back to this template and kind of make some kind of center mark on it. But I'm going to try and get it in the middle of the envelope as best as I can. We're going to disregard this mat. Now that our address is lined up the best we can in the center of this template, the Cricut is going to write the pen function in this spot on the grid of the mat. So this is a guide for where we are going to put our envelope, that 1 and 1 spot. And now we don't need this template anymore. So I'm just going to hide object. We'll go to continue. And then I'm going to select the cardstock material and load my pen into the clamp A. And now with this method, we don't have to take the cut blade out and have it do a ghost cut because we are telling the Cricut to only do this writing function, and we were able to line it up with our envelope on the mat because we made the little template and we put it in the 1 in 1 block square. So I have another scrap piece of cardstock that I cut to the size of my envelope, and then where that template was that we had, I lined it up in the 1 by 1 square. And then I'm gonna put my pen in clamp A right by this G. It seemed to work the best. And you just have to use just like a little bit of force to get it there. And then close the clamp. Load my mat. And then again, my star wheels are off to the side so that it doesn't drag the ink across the envelope. Now it's ready, I'm gonna press the go button. So this seemed to work really well. It does look centered, even though you kind of had to eyeball the center of it. And having the address smaller gives you less chance of that. Gives you less chance of that bubble letter that it does when it does a writing function. You can kind of see it in the 4, but I actually kind of like the way that it looks. So there is the second method by making the little template where you have just the pen function because you deleted out the basic cut. I kind of like this better. I might do this. I'm going to go back and try and make like some kind of center lines on the template. And then I have to figure out where to make the return address on it and how to do that. I've done a lot of research where people were kind of weary about putting the return address on the back because when it goes through the sorter, it might read the back return address and then you get it returned to you instead of it going to your guest. But I asked my mom. Mommy's always right, so I don't know. She said she thought it would be fine to put the return address on the back. So what I would try and attempt to do is put these on the mat with the flap open so that, and like make a template so it could write the return address and the actual guest address at the same time. But that might be a tutorial for another day. Right now I just want to get this tutorial up for putting the address on the front. But that is how you line up your envelopes on your mat so that the writing function will address your wedding envelopes. If you liked this tutorial, make sure you like the video and subscribe to my channel for some more wedding vlogs. I'm going to be making a tutorial on this envelope for my actual invitations. The invitation is going to be glued to here, and this pocket is going to have my RSVP card and the details card in it. It's these two pieces and they get glued together and the end result is this. So make sure you subscribe for that video. I also play cozy games such as Animal Crossing and Disney Dreamlight Valley. I live stream those every so often when I have the time. And I do a lot of crafts with my Cricut machine. I also, once in a great while, will do a live stream of making some kind of Cricut crafts. So those are on my channel as well. Thank you so much for watching this, and make sure you subscribe for more wedding tutorials and vlogs. Happy wedding planning, everybody.